All righty. Have we found Charlotte yet?
Doesn't look like it, but
I sent her a message.
Testing,
Okay.
testing.
All righty. Well, let's go ahead. Because the first couple aren't all that important. Okay, here's kind of the general plan for what's happening. We're going to talk a little bit about what the meetings will be in the future, and that's not like right away, it's down the line. But I want to talk quickly about one or two of the summer meetings. For those of you that don't follow things real closely, which is probably most of you, we typically don't have summer monthly meetings in June, July, and August. But this year, dang, we're going to have one on June 16th, which is
1, 2.
well, is next Wednesday. David or Lauren or Barney, could you tell us a little bit
Barney
about that?
yeah, we'll let Barney speak to this.
Okay, yeah, so Don Quintana is a conservation and bird photographer based in Central California, St. Louis Obispo area, Morro Bay area. And he's agreed to give us a presentation about photography, not only of birds, but of landscape. He runs numerous workshops and is regarded as a very good teacher and spends a fair amount of energy, especially helping high school students and college students getting into photography. And if you're familiar with the NAMPA program for youth photographers, he's very active in that. So really glad we could get Don and hope to have a good turnout for his presentation next week.
Now, is his presentation going to be 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock?
6.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Will it be recorded?
Yes.
Okay. I have a wedding that day.
You're getting married?
No, I'm performing.
Oh,
I
okay.
got one.
And
16th.
Charlotte's with us. Welcome, Charlotte.
But you got to turn on your speaker, Charlotte. Okay. Whoops.
Thank you, Barney. I was having multiple technical problems. Thank you, Barney.
Well, glad I could help.
Hey,
Oh.
real quickly, so we can figure this out, because somebody seems to have this what was not working? Were you clicking a link or?
I'm on my iPad and I logged into my TPC account, and when I would hit join the meeting, it would ask me for the meeting passcode. And another window would ask me for the meeting ID. I was trying lots of different things, so I don't know exactly. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to put my dog away so she doesn't bark through the meeting. Yeah. I'm in Jackson.
Okay, we're going to move on. Photo shoot. We can have a photo shoot this month because actually we're not on top of each other, and I'd like it to be a sunrise. I'll send out an email once we make this decision. Not this Saturday, but either the 19th or the 26th. Does anybody have a particular preference for that?
My preference is the 19th, the 26th. I've got to be back in North Carolina, but majority rules here, so whatever.
Either one would work for me.
Anybody
Work for me
other
too.
than
19th is good.
19th?
19th is good.
Okay, so it's going to be 6/19. I'll send an email out soon to let people know. Got any preference for where? Sunrise, because then we'll get out of there before all those people come in. I was there a couple days ago, Sunday. Oh my God. The number of people at 9 o'clock at Jenny Lake, there was a mile long parking outside on the highway. So where would you like to go? Meet. Not
Big
everybody
Ben.
all at once.
I was
I'm
just-
flexible.
Thinking here, thinking.
Charlotte, you and I have the plein air at the museum on the 19th.
That's right. I won't be available on the 19th, but that's okay. You can't do it for everybody.
No.
Okay, well, we need to move on.
Sally Delahousie is probably busy on the 19th also. Sally, are you in the meeting?
She is not.
Okay, let's move on. I'll figure that out and send something out and see if anybody has any particular interests. Then we're going to talk about this in a few minutes, but there's a couple things that I wanted to deal with first. That we'll talk about the Zoom meetings and the face-to-face peer mentor meetings and what it is you want out of them. I got lots of information from you guys. I really appreciate the response I got. But a couple things I'd like to give you some information about. First one, Gigi sent me an email. Actually, it was when I was away, so I didn't get it right away. But she's going up to Alaska. I forget the name of the place with a August 25th to 29th, and wanted me to pass this on to everybody. But what I decided to do was to figure out if there's anybody that's interested, contact me, and I can get you the information that Gigi offered me. There, where she's going is the fellow that's in charge of it. I think it's actually maybe an indigenous person. They have 4 cabins there. It's a very small group of people, and it's right in the hearts of where you want to see brown bears in Alaska on an island someplace. I can't remember it right off. So if you're interested, get in touch with me and I'll send you all the information. The other thing, this also came from Gigi kind of back around the corner. Lauren had put out something about Lightroom Enhance feature, and she responded and said, oh, she tried it out. Lauren, you want to tell us a little bit about that? What you've done, how handy it is, where you've got it?
Well, Adobe announced this with Adobe Camera Raw a couple of months ago. So it was available if you came in through that route, either going into Photoshop or even if you wanted to pre-process pictures before you brought in Lightroom. The June update that just came out a few days ago for Lightroom now brought this feature into Lightroom itself. And this is a question that, I know David and I have talked back and forth about this for some time, and several others. There are at least 2 or 3 now of these artificial intelligence programs that are doing things like sharpening, detail enhancement, increasing resolution, or at least effective resolution, and noise reduction. And it looks like Adobe is finally trying to put this stuff together now so that it is available directly in Lightroom. I think if you read that thread, the real strong, I think, factor that would bias me, if all of the things being equal on these programs, is that Lightroom does this in a DNG format, and it does not switch to the TIFF format. Mike Jackson brought this up this morning, I think, on that thread. So all of you who hate to get these massive, huge TIFF files, when you do editing, This is a way to avoid that and keep it all in your original raw format in the digital negative format if you use that. How many new things will come of that, I don't know. But you know, the artificial intelligence way this thing works is it looks at a pixel and then looks at the 8 pixels surrounding that pixel. And if those are all the same, it says, okay, we can extrapolate this and double the size of this image by creating all the other pixels that match this directly. If the pixel beside the one it's looking at does not look the same, then it will find an interpolation someplace in between that. So there's a nice smooth transition. And basically what it does is it's giving you approximately 4 times the resolution. So if you're shooting, you know, a nice 60 megabyte picture now, like so many of the cameras are doing, megapixel image, now this thing will kick it up to over 200 megapixels effective resolution. So what I'm hoping to do is sometime we can pull in people who have been using the other AI programs. There, like I said, there are 3 of them out there that I know of right now, and do a comparison, because there have been some problems with these, particularly the slowness of how they've been working. Requires an awful lot of computing power. I know, Barney, you've used at least 1 or 2 of them, I think, and it'd be interesting to see if we could do a head-to-head comparison. Have you used the Adobe ones yet, Barney?
No, I haven't. It was kind of on my list because I just did the update, and I've already got a comparison of a missile launch that was taken with a 500 millimeter lens and a D850 camera from about 70 miles away. And Gigapixel did a marvelous job as far as enhancing the small number of pixels that were the rocket. And so I'll run that same image through with Enhance, and happy to share that around, and we can make some judgments on that, and other people can do the same.
Okay. All right. Want to move on to get some information from you guys, kind of finalize this. How should we get the peer mentor program meetings to the next level? I mean, what happened with the COVID-19 was very problematic for us to begin with, but I think we've really changed things up. The Zoom meetings now, we know what to do. Maybe I don't know what to do, but everybody else knows what to do. But what I want to do now is look at what we can do now that we have this change. I think it'll probably happen in the next 2 months. So first thing is adding a photo shoot. For those of you that are new this within the last 2 years, we had photo shoots for about 4 years, and they were mostly sunrise, but they could be sunrise, sunset. We could have it in Teton Valley, but we've got to find a way to make this something that I can get all that information out to people once we get in to doing it comfortably. We also had used phone numbers there so we could tell people where we were going if we were doing a wildlife or something like that. So we've got a date now. We're going to have it on the 19th, and I'll send it out an email in the next day or 2 about that. Second thing is continuing the Zoom meetings each month. From the emails I got from a lot of you, it seems that most peer mentors like the idea of the Zoom meetings. It's really helpful to some people because we have peer mentors, we have 5 or 6 people that aren't here all the time. Charlotte being one, Barney being one, Arnie being one. The Zoom meeting allows them to continue the whole year, sometimes the face-to-face meetings, but when they're back in North Carolina, they can still stay involved. So I'm really think that we should always have a Zoom meeting each month, other than December. We don't have a meeting in December. Next thing is to return to the Meridian Trust. We had that for probably 2 years. That Dave, who's the chairman, whatever they call it, the person that coordinates the place at Meridian trust, he had let us use his conference room, and we could easily have 15 people in there. So a majority of people wanted a face-to-face meeting. Not everybody. Some people had reasons why they couldn't go to a face-to-face meeting. Some people waited for a face-to-face meeting because they didn't like participating in Zoom, and I completely understand that. And we have people that don't feel uncomfortable about a face-to-face meeting for a while still. So what I'd like to do is resume those someplace along the line. And my idea is to have 2 meetings per month, probably starting in August, just like we did, God, now it's a little bit more than 2 years ago. And I'm wondering if you guys have any particular things you'd like to say about what we do with how the peer mentor meetings evolve.
Randy, if there were 2 meetings a month, would it be like the old meetings where there were 2 peer mentor groups? Or would
Question,
would
Charlotte.
one group and we could attend both meetings?
I think it would, my perception of it would be that it's okay to leave it wide open, that people could go to either one of them. I don't want a lot, I mean, once upon a time, seems like 100 years ago, was like a little over 2 years ago, I had suggested that we kind of lock it in. But I think it's much better not to have it, because maybe there's something one month that you can make it the 4th week, but other times it's the 2nd month. So for someone like you, Charlotte lives in North Carolina for about 6 months of the year. Is that right? About 6 months? Something like that. But somebody like Arnie, he's down in Pinedale, and now he can come to every meeting, but he could probably only come to mostly to face or to Zoom meetings unless he happens to be in town taking pictures at Yellowstone or the Tetons. I'd like to leave that open, give people more flexibility. What do the rest of you think about that?
I kind of
Randy,
like,
oh, go ahead.
go ahead, David.
No, Sue, you go first.
No, please, you go.
Oh my God.
Randy, as I
Yes.
recall, when we went to the 2 physical meetings some years back, it was wasn't it because of the amount of space and the number of people?
Yes.
You split it up so that we could didn't have the room overflowing and that sort of thing.
What
So-
was happening then is when we only had 1 meeting,
Yeah,
all of
yeah.
a sudden it
So-
became really popular.
yeah,
And the meetings were like 25 people, and that was too big.
yeah.
So if we go to 2 meetings, I don't think we'll end up with 25 people, but we'll have to see.
No, that's what I think. I would suggest that we go with the 2 meeting concept for a trial run, and one of them be physical and one of them be a Zoom type thing. And if the physical thing gets, people want to do more physical and that gets to be a problem space-wise, then we adjust again.
Okay,
Well,
no, I like that. I like that idea.
I would actually say something actually quite different, just to protect Randy's time.
From my wife?
Well, considering, yeah, she called me about this. No. I mean, I've looked at how many people are attending the Zoom meetings, and I would say we combine them to start with and say, yes, you can do Zoom or in person. We'll have to figure out a venue where we can do that. But if we do that, then if suddenly we have 25, 30 people, we can always move to 2 meetings. But I would hate to see us have 5 people at one meeting and 8 or 9 at another. And Randy's having to deal with 2 a month. So, but that's just my opinion. Randy's the one, it's his time, not mine.
No,
So,
I appreciate that. It gives us a reason to look for another place to have our meetings. The Art Association, unfortunately, just before the COVID happened, what's her name? Lauren, remember her name? Veronica? Yes.
Yeah.
It's a part of the art association, and she was setting it up for us to use the conference room, and then all of a sudden COVID-19 hit and we had to stop that. But I think short term, let's go with 2 for a couple months and see what happens. You know, there's all kinds of other options, maybe, depending on what happens in Jackson. Oh, one other thing about the face-to-face meeting, a number of people, God, quite a few, 5, 6, 7 people had said one of the things they liked about the face-to-face meetings was the paired critiques, that it wasn't just doing the theme, but what the reason we went with Zooms just to the theme was, it was pretty clear, to me at least, that people didn't want those meetings to be 2 hours. Looking at somebody's face on a little tiny picture for 2 hours was just too much. While face-to-face meetings where we had a lot of time to talk and get to know each other and become photo buddies, it was okay to have a 2-hour meeting. What do you guys feel about that? Is that a good thing to stick with an hour and 15 minutes Zoom? And if we have face-to-face meetings, put the paired critique in that?
I agree.
Peter?
Yeah, that I agree with that totally. It makes sense.
Okay. For the rest of you, Peter is from Wilson. I'm going to take 30 seconds for you to tell us something about yourself in terms of
Okay.
photography.
Photography. Okay, hi, I'm actually a cinematographer, but I've always done a lot of still shooting. In fact, many years ago, when I wanted to switch from audio into cinematography, I decided I would start really focusing on stills during all of my network jobs and so on and so forth. So that was intended just to hone my eye, and of course, for many years I looked for motion, but I believe that every frame in a motion picture should be a valid still photograph, and that's how I've always approached it. But anyway, so I'm a pretty avid photographer, but and I've done a lot of international traveling, shot a lot of portrait work and so on. But I thought this would be a really fun and great group to jump in with. I consider myself an amateur still photographer because I get paid to shoot movies, not stills. But anyway, I'm glad to be able to jump in here.
Well, we're glad to have you. That's one of the things that I tried to share with you in a short email, was that it's incredible diversity in skills that we have. We have some people that have just started, let's say 3 or 4 years ago, just started and have come a long way. And other people that are what I would consider pro photographers, or at least have the skills to be pro photographers, sometimes retired, sometimes other things. So we try to work together to learn from each other. And so we're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Randy, can
Yeah,
I ask a question?
sure.
One of the things that I felt left out about when we had the 2 different meetings per month is that each group did pick their own theme. And so I felt a lot of times, in a way, I was kind of missing out. So we would do one thing and the other group would be doing something else. And I didn't have an opportunity to see those photographs and hear the discussion. So if we're going to be potentially doing one face-to-face and one Zoom going forward, I'd just like to suggest that the theme remains the same.
I think there's a solution to that, in that you'll be able to see what the theme would be, and you could decide to go to that meeting because you liked that theme.
Okay.
We could actually, I guess I'd have to ask David about this, but I guess we can actually, for every Zoom meeting, we can record it so you'd be able to hear it. I don't know where they are on the TPC website, but I think it would be a problem to have both groups doing the same thing, because then it's only making the choice of, you want it face-to-face, you want it Zoom. This way, if we have 2 different themes, you could decide whether you're going to the second Wednesday or the 4th Wednesday based on, oh, gee, I really like to work on that particular theme.
Thank you.
All right, and so now's the best time, seems now's the best time. Here's what I think we've answered most of these. So we'll have 2 a month. Anyone can attend either or both. We can continue a monthly theme for both, that the winner chooses that. We continue the Zoom as is and the face-to-face as it was. It sounds like we're pretty much sticking to that. One of the things that came out of, not in a lot of your comments, but in some, was something about discussions. Maybe we should think about adding that with the Zoom, and I'm kind of doing a little bit of that tonight that you'll see. But I also thought that we'd have the same rules for the monthly theme, and here Peter's the only one that does, the only one that shouldn't necessarily know what the rules are. So here's the rules. Quick rules, that you need to send me your photo by 9 o'clock the day of the meeting. Sometimes I'm okay with the noon. My wife always tells me I don't follow by the rules very well. But sometimes that's what has been a real problem for me, because some people say, yeah, but I have to go to Jackson early that day and I don't see it. And that's one of the most embarrassing things, next to what happened last time we had a problem with getting into Zoom. Here are the other 2 things. You can use any kind of camera, any kind, you can be your iPhone, you can use Lightroom, Photoshop, any other kind of software. And I think you're going to see tonight that we have some that used some other kind of software. The photos and the vote for the photos should follow the guidance of the articles. Thank you, Charlotte. You gave me some great articles for this silhouette. I always am hassling you as the teacher about doing your homework. The last one, the voting for the silhouette theme tonight should reflect the theme, not necessarily your favorite photo. Peter, this to catch you up on this, about 2 years ago, right before about 6 months before the pandemic, we realized that what we were voting on was, hey, that's my favorite photo, rather than that's my favorite silhouette, or that's my favorite minimalist. And so we try to really focus in on that. You'll also find that there are some of the themes have rules, or at least fairly clear rules, and some of them don't have any at all. So what are we looking for in silhouette themes? What I did was I tried to give it a rule by looking at as many articles as we could come up with. And thank you, Charlotte, you gave me lots of articles that would help me to have a rule for it. So the silhouette is created when you photograph a subject against a bright background where the viewer only sees the shape of the subject. These photographs typically take a minimalist approach where the background typically has the majority of the frame and is properly exposed while the subject is dark with no detail. And you're going to find that that's not necessarily what everybody has tonight. But some of them I would still consider silhouettes. So what I thought would be handy to do tonight as part of that kind of discussion is talk about what we've learned. Of the people that I can see on the screen, a little more than half of you actually sent in a photo, but about half of you didn't send in a photo. And that would lead me to believe that you're not really up to date on what a silhouette theme is all about. So I thought, oh, let's talk about what it is we learned about silhouettes. Oops, I got to move you guys.
Randy, I
Yep.
just need to say one thing before you go any further with this, and I hate to interrupt, but if we're going to do in-person meetings, we were discussing this earlier, from a club standpoint.
Oh, yes, thank you. Go ahead.
We really need to tell everybody that if you've been vaccinated, great. If you've gotten both vaccinations, if not, please wear a mask to the meeting. And it's on the honor system, but anyhow, that we have to say that. So
Sorry, David, I just kind of missed that because I'm here in Teton Valley, Idaho, where nobody wears a mask but my wife and I. Okay. So I've got some questions for you, particularly the people that actually took pictures and read the articles that Charlotte sent. How did you decide on a silhouette topic and what was important? If you hadn't taken the pictures, you probably think, what in the hell are you talking about? This became important. Peter, you need to know, I was a teacher before, so I can just sit and wait for my students to answer the question.
I thank you. Randy.
Yeah, Charlotte's really
Yes.
trying to start it. Go for it, Charlotte, then I'll follow.
Well, I just wanted to say, did everybody see the silhouette photo on the front page of last week's News and Guide? I get the email edition, and that was the most beautiful silhouette on my screen. Did you all see it? It was a cowboy at the rodeo, and it's a simple shoulder headshot, and you can tell that it's probably a 19 or 20-year-old cowboy, and you can kind of see an eyebrow and his lips, even though it's in silhouette. It is just really beautiful. It was done by a staff photographer, and I was really impressed by that one.
What was it that made it so good, Charlotte?
It was very black. Definitely was a silhouette with a real pretty sunset behind it. And knowing the rodeo the way I do, and the way those cowboys kind of stand up on the fences, I feel like that staff photographer at the News and Guide was actually photographing a real sunset behind that silhouette. And to me, it shows a real intense expression. And I really can visualize that whole cowboy just from a silhouette. I thought it was.
Sue, what did you have?
Well, it was interesting. I actually looked for some additional articles, and my conclusion was that predominantly silhouettes are exactly what we were talking about, that it's a stark black image contrasted with something in the background. But I came across a number of instances, and I saw just a couple of photographs actually in the articles that we did have, where a silhouette was not necessarily solid black. And so I guess I took a more expansive view of, if you're photographing what becomes a silhouette, it's clearly something that is emphasized, but it can be in the foreground or it can be in the background.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Maybe you have some people that they're lit up and you can see the details in them, but maybe the background, for instance, is a series of ridges that are all in silhouette. Isn't that also a form of silhouette photography? And it didn't really get covered in those articles, I didn't think.
Anybody else?
Well, I think there is a question: is a silhouette a feeling, or is it a precise technical requirement? I think that something can be in the silhouette zone very strongly, but without necessarily being absolutely totally black across there. I don't know if there's a technical requirement to use that word, but certainly the absence of detail in the black part of the subject is important. So I don't know if there's a bit of a gray area there in the definition or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I was looking at so I think it was Loaded Landscapes, and the author had a photograph. There were two deer in a clearing, and it was clearly strong morning sunlight. So the deer were kind of reduced in terms of the amount of detail in them. but you could still see the coloring, but it was very, very subtle. And so consistent with what Peter's saying, there was a lovely feeling to that photograph, but they weren't black objects in the photograph.
Mhm.
And so I tend to take a more expansive view of what constitutes a silhouette from looking at stuff like that.
Okay, let me move on. Silhouette photos usually start by getting this is very different than the first question. Usually start by getting the exposure correct. What was the challenged exposure? How did you solve the problem? What did you shoot? How did you solve the problem in Lightroom? Let me start. I was doing some of sunsets, and I was doing it. I shoot most of my shots are in aperture mode, and I kept finding when I look at what the picture was, oh, no, that's not what. And I found what I needed to do was that I needed to make everything, correct everything, whether it's speed, aperture, whatever, to make sure. And I needed to take the exposure of the sky, not with the other stuff in it, because then it turned out gray. I could solve the problem in Lightroom, but after a while I learned, no, it's easier to solve it when you're taking the picture than to try to solve it in Lightroom, although I did clean up some. What about the rest of you?
Well, if nobody else is going to talk, in my case, actually the scene was, it was clearly a silhouette. So I actually didn't have that much of a problem with needing to make adjustments.
And I found that in most of the time, it seems that you want to kind of use a little bit of nudging in the correction in Lightroom or whatever you're using, just to emphasize it. It seems like I admire you, Randy, for dialing and tweaking to get exactly what you want in the field. But I usually have to pump the contrast or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest thing that I picked up from the articles and also have tried in the past is put the camera in the spot meter, move to the sky adjacent to the image you want to put in silhouette. Take that reading, and take the image. And 9 times out of 10, you've got a very nice silhouette, and a slight adjustment in the black point then just renders it completely the way you want it. So
That's essentially what I did after 10 shots that I was disappointed. Anything else?
I would say I followed Randy's procedure, pretty much the same thing. Made an exposure, looked at it, then went to the extreme, really tightened down with the f-stop, shooting in manual mode, sped up the shutter speed, and then just worked back and forth between both ends, wide open and real f16 and f2.5 or 2.4, and just got what I wanted, and when I had there was a lot of good ones in there, but again, it wasn't what I had in my mind at the time.
Oops. And that leads me to the next question. Was there a problem with focusing? And to build on what Ben had to say, I didn't realize that, oh, wow, I should be doing that at F11, F16, something like that. Because when I was setting it up, then if it was at F5.4, that, oh, wait, now it's focusing on the sky rather than focusing on the rest of it. So it was a real learning experience for me that I really appreciated. What aperture did you guys use?
I actually used my iPhone, so whatever it was there.
Right. Same here.
Strikes again.
I have to reserve comments till later.
I do too.
Okay, last one, and then we'll get on to the pictures. What did you learn that will improve your future photography?
I'll explain that later.
Yeah, same for me, David. I'm with you. Later.
Okay, guys, anything else?
I have an off-topic question for David. Is that Chaco behind you?
It is.
Thank you. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Great.
I took that in April, but I went there 45 or 48 years ago. So,
Oh,
Really?
so I had a span of
yeah.
quite a
well,
few years.
And
I was there.
that's in New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there a couple months ago. Incredible place. We'll have to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, on to our photos. We have got 12 of them, I think. So what we're going to do is you will each have 4 votes on the first round. David is the vote keeper. You go to, what is it, chat room, David? I forget what it's called.
Yes, the Zoom chat, if you don't know where that is. If
Typically
you look
the
at the
bottom
bottom
of
of
your
your, if you look at the bottom of your screen, there's a little thing that says chat. So send your votes to me. So on this first round, I guess, Randy, you're saying 4 votes.
Yep, everybody gets 4 votes.
Randy's going to give you the numbers, but send me like 1 comma, 7 comma, 3 comma, and I'll tally the votes up. And you can make sure you send them private unless you want everybody to see your vote, but that's up to you.
And the way we do this, Peter, is that we vote twice. You're going to see 12 images. Send the 4 that you like the most to David. He'll sum them up and pick out, I think then what we have is 4, sometimes it's 5 pictures that we vote a second time, that everybody gets just 1 vote.
Do we spin through them all first before voting?
Yes.
Yes, we'll actually do that twice. So now this is always a problem. Are you getting my Lightroom now?
Not yet.
What is it?
Just do a command shift.
No, that doesn't work on this one. Oh, new share. Here we go. Now do you get it?
No, you got it. If you want to, you can.
There we
you
did.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. I don't need this for now, I don't think. I gotta pull this bigger so I can see it. Oh, okay, here's all 12 shots. I'm gonna take them one at a time, and then you'll see them, and then I'll take them again. So we get two rounds of this. This is number 1. This is number 2. This is number 3. This is number 4. This is number 5. This is number 6. This is number 7. This is number 8. This is number 9. This is number 10. This is number 11. This is number 12. Okay, I'll take a look at them and I'm going to show them to you again. Ready? Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Number 6. Number 7. Number 8. Number 9. Number 10. Number 11. Number 12.
Dave, Randy, how do we vote? Just put some numbers on a chat message to you personally?
Not to me, make it to David.
I'm sorry, to David, and just put a series of numbers?
Yep.
Yeah, make sure you put commas in between each one, because sometimes we get some overlap and that is confusing.
Okay.
And what we will do is pick out the top 4 pictures, but before we vote a second time, we'll give feedback, critiques to the ones that don't make the next round. This is something that's relatively new the last couple months. Seems to work out pretty well though.
So has everybody voted? Or has anybody not voted? All right, so Randy, you want the top 4, right?
Yes. Unless there's a tie. I mean, it could be more than 4 if there was a tie of 4th place, but. And I will put a star below those 4.
Okay. All right, we do have some ties.
We always do.
So here are your top 5 in this case.
Okay.
1, 2, 5, 7, and 9.
Okay, so what we now need to do is talk about 3, 4, 6, and critique each one of those things you like, maybe things that need to be improved on. Speak up. Number 3, what do you think?
Can you go full screen on it, Randy?
Oh, sure. Thanks, Barney.
I thought it was a classic silhouette and sunset.
The trees are definitely in silhouette
Yeah.
on you.
I would have thought that maybe a little crisper focus on the trees, but
That's what I thought too. The colors are really spectacular, but particularly the farthest tree to the left, maybe it's the sun kind of makes it more blurry, but it looks a little blurry to me.
I shouldn't speak up since I'm a new guy here, but to me, this shot is more about the sunset than about the silhouette items.
Right?
That's true. That's true.
So the silhouette there doesn't stand out as the center of the picture.
Well, to my mind, a silhouette has a definite shape. And the shape is kind of the subject. And like Peter said, that's kind of a sunset photograph.
Okay. All right.
What hit me on that one too, Randy, for whatever reason, and that is the slope of the tree on the farthest left-hand side, that tree, and the slope of the plateau above it, it seemed like it was leaning to the left to me. Now, it may just be that my head's not on my neck straight, but that's just how it hit me.
I mean,
So-
right here is not kind of even with the horizon.
I can't see your cursor. I'm sorry.
Okay, okay.
I think what he's saying is like, it looks like the trees are leaning to the right. Is that what you're saying, Barney?
No, well, the tree, the furthest tree to the
Left tree.
left,
Yeah,
and then that little plateau just looks like it's just leaning a degree or so to the to the left-hand side.
Like a horizon.
That could be just the way it is, and that's likely what it is.
Okay, let's move on to this one.
I really like this image. I just wish that there was more space on the left-hand side.
Ah, yeah.
It just, I mean, if the beautiful arch here and of course the humpback is leaning into the photo, it's fine. I just really would like to have a little content aware added on the left-hand side if it was cropped out.
and I had a question about this. It looks like the water that the whale is in. I'm assuming this is a statue.
Gotta be, yeah.
I don't know who took it, but if they could chime in.
They're not here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there is a difference in the water, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, wow, fantastic. And then I went, oh, I think it's a statue. So,
Yeah, if it was a real humpback that come out of the water, we'd see a lot of action in the water.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I
splash.
hadn't noticed that, but now that you've noticed it, yeah, because it looks like in the right below, on the left-hand side below that one arm, it's a beach. The water there must be 100 feet deep if that close to shore.
If that was a real whale, the water would be flowing off it.
Yeah.
Right.
It would have
Oh,
just come out.
interesting.
Would have just come up out of the
yeah.
water.
It was the whales used in the Star Trek episode at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Yeah. So if anybody remembers that.
Yeah, it's very the thing. But I mean, I like the shot. It's you know, it's very
Yeah.
nice.
It gets you to think. Okay. What about this one?
Mhm. That's a beautiful photograph with lots of contrast in it.
Yeah,
But-
very moody. I like the mood.
Yeah, moody.
Here again, to me, it's a lovely black and white photograph, but I don't think it conveys the notion of being a silhouette as powerfully as it does just a moody black and white photo.
Yeah, there's nothing that really stands out. That's the silhouette. The barn a little bit, the fence a little bit, but okay. Wait a second here. I gotta copy down these numbers for myself. Okay, so skip this one.
This photograph really attracted my eye when we first went, when they first came up, all 12 of them on the screen. But there's not a lot of detail in the silhouette. There's a lot of black below the horizon that is doesn't have any message in it.
The thing for me about this one is I think of silhouettes as being minimalists, but this one, I mean, I really like it's got that window that's got light in it and the barn is very clear, but that it kind of dominates the picture.
Now, I wonder if you cut off the right third and then just did that other 2/3, whether it would be an interesting photograph, because then it really points you to the house. Whereas this way, you kind of run along that long edge.
I agree. That would help a lot.
Crop a lot of the bottom black
And the
out.
bottom and the right
Right.
side to some extent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the sky is beautiful.
And the sky really draws your eye in as you're seeing a sunset, but it's not that dominant. Okay. It's 9, okay, with this one.
I love that you can see the eye of that bird. Wonderful. But I have a hard time thinking of it as a silhouette.
I do too. The bird doesn't stand out. The background is noisy, I guess I would say.
The silhouette, the so-called silhouette in this one is a minor portion of the whole photo, whereas some of the others we'll be looking at, the silhouette tends to be a much more, take up a lot more real estate.
Yeah. Okay. This is a very different one.
Mhm. I think
Yeah,
that
very fun.
Yeah,
Fun
definitely
photo.
a silhouette of that woman. It,
Does
It's
make
just
you
a-
wonder where she is and what she's doing.
exactly. Is she in a cave? She looks like she might be giving a lecture to me, speaking to people.
And where did she get that baguette?
Oh, that is
It's
interesting.
460.
Oh, wow. That's-
The top
No,
of the ladder.
seriously, I really like this photo a lot. I thought it was beautifully composed. A lot of mystery, the questions everyone's asking, where in the world is she? What's she doing? The hand being subtly lit, but the face and body, really being a silhouette. I like this a lot. It was certainly one of my choices for a top picture.
I agree.
Very different. And it shows that the silhouette doesn't have to be pure black, but the face is pure black against that blue-white sky. Interesting.
You can tell she has glasses on, and it looks like she's speaking. Yeah, it's an interesting silhouette.
Yeah, I just wish you hadn't mentioned the baguette. I can't get it out of my mind.
And this is really lovely. This is the museum's
Yeah.
sculpture with the Milky Way behind it, and I'd love to know whether they took them at the same time. If they did,
Who shot
congratulations.
this? Who shot this one?
Well, wait, don't say who shot it until after you got all the feedback out.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Well,
I wanted them to answer Charlotte's question though. So
Yeah, I just think this is really stunning. Yeah, getting that sculpture with the Milky Way behind it. It's lovely.
No, those are the real elk on which the sculpture was based at the museum there. We just saw these, and I'm just kidding. It'd be nice to imagine it as an actual animal.
Mhm.
I've actually shot those elk several times just for fun, but I think the idea of putting them against the sky was the night sky was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this shot too.
I don't know. It
composition is
almost
very
looks looks like a composite to me, because the animals obviously didn't stand there and pose for the 10 or 15 seconds that you typically use to shoot the Milky Way. So
Oh,
Well, they're
it's-
statues.
that's
the Milky
sculpture.
Way, the stars are pretty clear.
Yeah, Rick, those were statues at the museum.
Okay.
Yeah, so they did stand there and pose.
Oh, I got you. I got you. Yeah.
And
Okay.
I never vote on these because I know.
Silly me. I said corrected.
I mean,
I
it's
never vote on these because I always know who took them.
Yeah.
But this was one of my favorites. I mean,
I like this too. Yeah.
that the Milky Way is in front of this bull. Whew.
But
Yeah, I'm a sucker for
technically, this
Milky Way.
was actually a very difficult shot. And when I look at that, like I said, the large bull, I almost see him in the fall when they're exhaling and you see the mist,
Oh, yeah.
and he's exhaling the Milky Way. This is just really outstanding. Like a couple
Yes,
of tiny things on the composition. I wish the front leg wasn't overlapping the the cow that's down below. It would have been neat to be just a couple of degrees of separation there.
Yeah.
But I think it's an outstanding image.
Yeah, it looks like he's kicking her down the hill.
Yeah, just a little too close. Yeah.
I will say this, I actually have a print. There's a Bev Doolittle painting called Call of the Wild Things that has the stars in the background with lots of animals, and it really reminded me of that. So.
Okay, you want, who had a question and wanted the answer, Charlotte?
Oh, we'd like to know who did that.
Yeah.
It's Tim. Tim,
Tim.
tell us about it.
Congratulations, Tim. That's beautiful.
Okay.
We lost Tim.
Oh,
So
right.
yeah, Tim, was it a composite or was it all shot in camera? I think we lost Tim.
too bad.
I see him, but oh yeah, you got to unmute Tim.
Uh,
All right.
Whoops, whoops.
So that could easily have been, we had these beautiful moonless nights last week or two.
Yeah.
And that could easily, I mean, it's a brilliant idea, beautifully executed. Probably any one of us could have gone up with our fancy camera, I suppose. But anyway, it's a lovely shot.
It looks like Tim is still here, but
He may have stepped away for a second. He's muted.
okay. Rated, here's the ones. Here are the top 5. Now you only get, wait a minute. Now you only get 1 vote. So send a second round.
And they're renumbered. So this is a new 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes,
5.
very
Right.
important.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so this one is now, well, it was before, but now it is also 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. This is 5. Okay, I'm going to show them to you again one other time. You only get 1 vote this time, not 4.
This is going to be tough.
Those are 5 pretty good pictures.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. And number 5. Okay, send your vote for one of these as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and send it to David.
Sure, we can't vote for 2.
I can tell y'all are having a hard time making up your mind.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of votes coming in.
Yeah. Can I flip a coin?
It's funny, I thought that we weren't going to get very many because like a day and a half ago, where I usually would have 5 or 6, I had 2. And one of them is here, but I thought, oh, is this all we're going to get? And then the last 24 hours, I got lots of photographs that were very original.
We're just like all your former students, wait until the last minute, Randy.
They bothered me
All
too.
We got it if everybody's done. So
Okay. Have we got our first, a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, or we got some ties?
we have a first, second, and third, and fourth and fifth. Well, all right.
Okay, tell me who's fifth. Which one is fifth?
We have a tie for fifth on number 2 and number 5.
So it's actually a tie for fourth.
Yes.
Okay.
2 and 5.
Okay. Now we can give feedback to 2 and 5. What did you think of 2 and 5?
Full
Was
screen.
it full screen, Randy?
Oh, sorry.
I just wish
Absolutely.
that center,
The only problem that is very tiny that could be fixed in post on this is the center tower. The top just sort of fades out, you know, it's lost in the dark cloud behind it. And I think you could do some things in post that might bring that out. But the tower on the right with the sun flare is fantastic, and the sharpness is fantastic. And then they have that cloud detail. I mean, this is really a beautiful image.
Yeah, I kind of agree with
Anybody got
Paul.
any other feedback?
The middle tower just got a little lost with the clouds, but yeah. Who was the photographer?
I was the one that took this in my backyard for
Cool.
10 nights.
Oh,
And
congratulations, Randy, in your backyard.
Yeah.
so, Randy, that was a sun star just from the camera?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no, it isn't just from the camera. I mean, that I took 20, 30, 40 pictures from there. But there was about a 2 minutes that it was perfectly behind that tower.
Oh, okay. But it wasn't created with a Photoshop or?
No,
Okay, all right.
no, it looked that way.
Cool.
What is the tower, Randy? Is that the lighthouse at Target?
No, that's the lights going up the stairs to our front door. There's 5 of them.
Incredible. Very well done.
Very
Nice.
good.
Okay. What about this one?
Makes me want to go boating.
Yeah, you saw it's going to snow Thursday night here, right?
No.
Then we'll have a 90-degree day.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think about the picture, guys?
Yeah, my concern on this is the boat just does not seem sharp. It just somehow, I mean, you can see the bits of rigging and stuff on the front of the boat, the lifelines or whatever, but it's just not quite as sharp as I'd like to see. But otherwise, it's beautifully composed, very interesting image.
It's true, and maybe it's that lack of sharpness that makes it a picture more about the sunset than about the silhouette boat.
Yeah, I agree with you. Exactly.
Andy, can we see what ISO this was shot at?
Can we get
I
it?
think that might have something to do with how
Wait a second.
sharp it is.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if I can get that. If I hit the information, well, let me look at it again. Oh, wait,
Hit the eye a number of times.
nope, that's all it gets.
That's all you got. Okay.
Yep.
Lou, do you know what ISO you shot this at?
I would if I pulled it up and looked, but I
Okay.
don't. I don't
Okay.
recall. I know that ISO was on automatic.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sometimes when you go too high on the ISO, it's kind of blurs things and noises things up, et cetera.
You know, that's one of the things I noticed about this right away, that the boat was a little bit blurry. And then I think, well, is that bad? But I keep thinking, is it bad or is it good? Which makes it not so good,
Yeah.
because the real focus is on the sun.
It was the 90% humidity in the air that day.
Ah,
Mm.
where was this? Must have on the East Coast someplace?
Yeah.
This was in Maine.
Ah,
The,
Days
the,
ago.
the post is not overly sharp either. That's why I thought about the ISO as a possibility for why it's blurry.
I'll have to look that up.
It's obviously sharper than the boat, but I don't know. It's just something to look at and
The
think about.
focus was taken right at the boat.
Yeah.
That I do remember.
Okay.
Yeah, but I do like the mood, and I wish I'd been with the guy coming in.
Especially
did
if
you
had a
catch
mess of fish.
anything?
Like, yeah, I was ready for a beer and a lobster right there. So.
Okay, who's in, those are the tie for fourth place. Which of the three that are left were in third place?
Okay, third place is number 1.
Okay. Let's,
This must have been taken outside the Cowboy Bar.
After a few drinks.
That's funny.
I mean, I think it's powerful, even though it's just messy because of the ferns or whatever the tree is, makes it kind of messy, but still, I think it's powerful. I don't know why. The angle, maybe the particular elephant movement. I like this one.
Yeah, I like it too. The thing that bothers me, and Barney would be able to answer this probably. Look at the tusks where that branch crosses. Is that pure diffraction? I mean, they're so distorted in that one spot. You see where it crosses the upright branch?
Uh-huh.
It's like the tusk wearing, and I can't tell if that's a diffraction problem.
Well, I can explain that since I took the picture.
What's your okay?
So this is probably overly long, but this all started out as a exercise in learning how to do focus stacking in my camera. And my wife has this little tiny fern.
Oh,
And
we
I went,
lost you.
do what? Hello? Somebody ask a question. Anyhow, so I decided just to set it up in the window and try to do a focus stack to get everything, a close up of this. I mean, it's only a couple of inches high, literally. And then as I was messing with it, I went, if I move it closer, I have a statue of an elephant, and put the elephant in the background. I can make it look like an African scene, but it's the ghosting from the focus stack that makes those tusks.
Mhm.
And so it's the elephant's actually about 3 feet behind this fern.
Huh.
And once I got through with it, I went, well, it's kind of a silhouette, but because you have focus breathing on the lens, it makes it look funny. And I was going to kind of chunk it. And then I went, I'll stick a sky replacement behind it.
Good old sky replacement, my favorite.
But I couldn't figure out what to do with the tusk. It drove me crazy. And
yeah, because don't the tusks come out of his mouth, but the mouth is way farther down.
Well, no, but it's really what's causing that problem is the focus breathing on the lens, because it's a stack of about 15 photos.
Oh.
And it does a kind of a ghosting thing, and I could not figure out how to fix it. But yeah, that fern, the statue itself is about 10 inches tall, and the plant's only about 3 inches tall. So
David, what stacking software did you use?
well, my camera has a focus stacking, so it takes them, and then I took about 15 photos and just did it in Photoshop.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can, if you really want to get into this, I think it's Halcyon has a 30-day or a 45-day on
Okay.
there, which is very, very powerful stacking software. And it's a subscription. It's like $100 a year or something like that, and which is a turnoff for me. But folks that are really into focus stacking use it all the time.
Yeah, but again, I think the biggest issue here was the problem of I was so close, and then two things so far apart, and enough breathing with the lens, it just couldn't figure out how to correct it. But maybe another piece of software could. It was a fun
Okay.
exercise. I learned a lot. So
Who's in second place? Which number is in second place?
number 3.
Number 3. What do you think about this one?
I really like this. I think that the silhouette is very clean. And my eye just is just on the antelope, and I think it's a beautiful setting and well positioned within the frame as well.
Yeah, I
Nicely
think,
done.
Yeah.
I think the sunset or the sun and the clouds complements the silhouette so well.
It really sets it off.
Yeah, it really does.
And who took this
It's
one?
had a lot of interest to it. The clouds do, but I think it's a beautiful photo.
Yeah, my only criticism, I wish the pronghorn would have turned his head just a little bit more towards us instead of looking away. And there's some little bit of dust on the sensor, it looks like too.
Yeah, who took this?
Man, Lauren, how could you see that? I'm kind of, I can't see that at all.
Got a high resolution monitor here.
Oh, man.
About an inch and a half right in front of the pronghorn. Looks like there's
Yeah, but
a couple.
I
pieces.
really like this one because of the way the sky sets off the prong. I think it's a pronghorn. I mean, it's like
okay,
put
but
there perfectly.
Well, it was put there perfectly. I chose the silhouette topic last month, and I was in North Carolina struggling for any kind of clear view, sky, any water, anything that I could silhouette something against. And I was having no luck. And so this is well, first of all, it's a sky replacement because you know how I love sky replacement. But what I did was I took it's a metal sculpture of a pronghorn that I have that's about 8 inches tall. And then I went through my photos of, well, actually, this is a Teton photograph. The mountains are the Tetons in the sky. I just went through old photographs of mine until I found a sky that I thought looked good behind this pronghorn. So I just didn't want to not enter something since it was my topic. But I was struggling.
What
Well,
are the plants
somebody
on the
mentioned that,
side of
the
it?
composition is just perfect, the way the animal's placed in that
yeah,
blue spot in the cloud. I mean, it just, you couldn't get any better than that. It really is
I
beautiful.
don't think it can happen in nature. Yeah, it's my creation.
well done.
Very well done.
What I did was I shot the little 8-inch sculpture against a light box. And then I went into Photoshop and used sky replacement to fill the white with a different sky. So.
And
it was-
Charlotte, the foreground, that looks like yucca or almost.
Yes, that's part of the sculpture.
Okay.
Yeah, because we get a
Nice.
lot of yucca here in front of the Teton.
I know. I
Yeah.
didn't know to catch that. I just.
Well, Like I said, we get a lot of ferns in front of elephants here.
Birds in front of elephants and yucca in the Tetons. Yeah, we're all cheating. Some of us are.
Okay, that will leave us with first place. What do you think of this one?
I just think that one is fantastic. I love everything about it. I particularly love the juxtaposition of that white against the dark part of the sky, and then this inverted part with the dark stem against the lighter part of the sky. And the sharpness in it, I just think that's gorgeous.
It almost
And-
looks like a glass sculpture. I think
Yeah.
it's great. Yeah.
It's close to perfect. I mean, people, everybody tries to shoot this particular native flower, in so many different ways, and it's always hard to get it right. And that's just almost perfect, and the lighting is just amazing. Very well done.
And the lower part of the photograph, it's so mysterious. I wonder what that is.
It almost looks like boiling water.
Or, yeah, clouds. Oh,
This
yeah.
is kind of like, I look at this kind of like, the old adage about rule of thirds, rules are meant to be broken. And I think for silhouettes, this kind of rules have been broken because you got the silhouette and then you got the flower or the dandelion, and it's a stunning photo.
Mhm.
Yeah, Barney, you should print this.
Oh, yeah, well. Yeah,
This is an iPhone?
This was taken with my iPhone.
Oh.
And,
I'm gonna go
David
through
was
my
talking
camera right
about
now.
early on with, trying to learn how to plan and do a silhouette. Well, it's always been on my kind of bucket list to do this type of a shot with a dandelion. I was down hiking with a friend down by the other side of Alpine, and came across one of these mountain dandelions with the head just in full, and it was a good 8 or 9 inches above the ground. So I got down and with my iPhone shot up at it, and then proceeded to try to understand how to make a silhouette out of that in Photoshop. And that's basically the way this was converted from a black and white, or I'm sorry, from a color image into a silhouette.
So Barney, the white area at the bottom, was that something you added, or did you just catch that in the photo?
There's some blurring that went on around all of this, and all of a sudden that kind of appeared. Okay, David, I honestly, it's one of those things, I'm not sure what I did or how it happened, but if you look at the stem down there is also a little bit blurry.
Mhm.
And I kind of like that. It just added to me the bit of trying to take this with a pretty wide aperture, and because the thing that I really wanted to focus on was the head or the clock being in sharp focus.
And
Oh,
it
it
is.
came out great. And I assume did you shoot that in RAW?
I shot it in whatever the Apple HEIC or whatever
Oh,
that
okay.
thing is.
Yeah.
And then just brought it into Lightroom first and then over into Photoshop.
I am just so glad you explained that, because I was sitting there trying to think between the thickness of my camera and my 100mm macro lens, I didn't see how I could get underneath that dandelion. I should have thought of an iPhone. Why not? Why use a $6,000 camera when you can use an iPhone?
Well, Lauren, after when I was down there on the ground shooting this thing, and you are shooting it a little bit blind, it was, boy, I wish I had a mirror with me. And then put the mirror down there and shoot the reflection off the mirror. So that's, maybe we can but then again, I was on a hike, so I wasn't about to carry a glass mirror, but
Hey, the
it's just
world's
something
going
to keep in mind.
mirrorless. We're
Both Zoom
going
and-
mirrorless, Barney. I keep saying that. Forget that. We're going mirrorless.
Well,
Beautiful shot.
Yeah.
Okay,
okay, so this is the second week in a row we've had somebody win with an iPhone. I'm selling all my stuff.
okay, wait a second. Now I've got to get this to all of you. Wait a second here. We're kind of late, so I'm going to go right to the. Do you see just the potential June 2021 theme? No.
Can you make it a full screen? I mean,
Hit play from current slide.
Wait a second. Play from here inside.
Up in the, right under where it says insert. If you do that, you'll get a full screen of that slide. Or you can just click on it. There you go.
Okay.
hey, there you go.
Barney, your choice, dude.
Oh, goodness gracious. So reds are out.
Correct. And the ones on the left are what I'm calling photography composition themes. The two columns on the right are general photography themes. You can pick either one as long as it's not red.
Let's go with macro.
Now that you've taken a macro shot.
Well, I guess what got me going on macro is David's focus stacking. Because a lot of our cameras, we can do focus stacking and or you can do it manually. And so it would involve kind of getting down there and getting close and seeing what we can find.
Okay. Oh boy, this is.
I'll send you a couple articles too.
Thank you very much. So it's macro for next, and I will send you an email about what next week is, or next meeting is going to be. It will be a Zoom meeting. But I'm not sure of exactly what date it will be. Crap. All righty.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
Photos,
Thanks,
everyone.
Randy.
Yeah, we had some, I mean, 2 days ago, I thought, oh boy, we don't have much. But we had some really interesting photographs, really interesting.
Game day
Righty.
players. Great shot, Barney.
Thanks, David.
All right.
Good job, everybody.
Yeah, really good pictures, really good pictures.
Yeah. Good
How
photo-
many
great
were
photos.
taken? How many were taken with an iPhone, do you think?
Really, that was unusual. Um,
It was, yeah, my,
Charlotte, did you take yours with the,
No, I used my mirrorless camera this week, this month. Yeah,
all righty. I probably won't get you tomorrow, information on the website, but I'll probably get it by Friday, okay?
okay.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Congratulations,
Thanks.
Barney.
thanks, Randy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
What are we doing now?